Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I hope you all are doing awesome today. Happy Thursday. I know we're a little early today, but I definitely wanted to jump on here. I wanted to talk to you guys about your credit. Now, I want to welcome you all to our Thursday session. We usually do this on Wednesdays every week at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We talk about your credit. We talk about how to repair your credit. We talk about how to rebuild and rebuild strong credit scores. And we also help you with educating you, right? Elevating your total financial literacy so that you can clean up your credit, so that you can raise your score, so that you can get a house, so that you can secure better interest rates. So today we're going to be talking about 13 of the most common credit repair mistakes that a lot of people make. And I want to kind of touch on this because I want to be able to help you guys understand what you should avoid so that you don't make those mistakes, because you can clean up your credit. Everybody can do the exact same thing. Everybody can remove derogatory accounts from their credit report, right? Everybody can do that. And I want to show you some of the things that you should avoid so that you don't make these mistakes either. So before I get into it, I want to kind of test the waters and see. Hi, Kendra. Thank you for joining. First of all, I want to kind of test the waters and see what type of mistakes you all have already made trying to fix your credit. What type of questions do you have in particular about how to repair your credit, right? Because you have probably already done one of these 13 things. You probably haven't done one of these 13 things, right? But I know that ultimately you all want to make improvements with your overall credit rating, okay? So let's go ahead and actually get into it. So let's first start off with the first most common mistake that people make when they're trying to repair their credit. The first common mistake that people make is removing negative accounts from their credit report. Now, there's nothing wrong with removing accounts from your credit report, but you never want to remove positive accounts from your credit. A lot of the times I see people that have a lot of common questions about student loans or collection accounts. Or they may have a question about an open credit card or auto loan or something that they may have open. And it's currently reporting in positive status. But a lot of the times people kind of get mixed up, right? They see all these loans, especially student loans. You have multiple student loans reporting your credit reports, and you're not quite sure what exactly you need to do with them. Now, the thing is, y'all, student loans are not the death to your credit report. Student loans are not bad. What's bad is not paying the student loans on time. What's bad is letting the student loans go into default. That's what's really ruining your credit. But if your loans are deferred, if your loans are in forbearance, then it's not hurting your credit reports at all. It's actually helping your credit because you have, credit history. Because you're building credit history with your student loans, that's helping your credit scores. So don't remove your student loans. If your student loans are positive, if your student loans are in forbearance, if your student loans are deferred, then that positive payment history, that positive history will continue to report in your credit reports. Now, I know you all have been following my videos for a while now, right? So you already know that payment history and account history count for 35% of your credit score. Just right there. So if you're removing positive lines of credit from your credit file, your score is going to decrease. You're going to have a negative effect on your credit. So leave the positive stuff alone. If you got good credit cards, if you got good student loans, if you have good accounts that have positive payment history on it, leave it on your reports. Don't delete it. Keep it on there, okay? The second thing that I see is that people dispute accounts on their credit reports as not theirs. Now, you should not be disputing stuff as not yours unless it's really not yours. So if you have a collection account or if you have a derogatory account on your credit reports and it's really hindering your scores, but you know it belongs to you, you don't have to dispute it as not yours if it is, because what's going to happen is if you dispute it as not yours and then they remove it from your credit, and then they discover that it is yours, then it's going to pop back up on your credit reports. And a lot of people see that happen because you disputed it, oh, it's not my account, and you want them to verify that it is your account. And then when they verify it, then it pops back up on your credit reports. So the only time you ever should be disputing something that's not yours is if it's actually not yours. If it is yours, you all have plenty of ways to dispute something on your credit reports. Plenty. It's like 21 different ways to dispute an account on your credit reports. Okay, you could dispute it. If it's not yours, you can dispute it as not yours. If the account balance is wrong, you could dispute the account balance. If the account number is wrong, you can dispute all types of stuff. So what you need to do is find the errors and then just dispute the errors on your credit report to successfully remove accounts off your credit report and to see it gone for good so it doesn't pop back up on your credit. Now, there are some situations where if a collection company decides to remove an account off your credit reports, and they may sell it to another collection agency. They may sell it to another debt collector so that they can collect on it. And what happens is when it's sold to another collector, then that new collection agency will then report on your credit too. Right? So what you want to do is, if you're going to dispute something, don't dispute it as not yours. I see that all of the time, and that's not the way that you want to do it. If you're going to dispute something, find the errors and then dispute the errors in the actual listing on your credit report to get it off your credit once and for all. Another thing that I see people do is they close accounts. I say this a lot, don't I? I think I say this in every video that I do, that do not close any of your accounts. If they are positive, do not close them. If they have good payment history, don't close them. If they have been open for a really long time, don't close them. A lot of people close their credit cards in efforts to reduce any of their credit card debt. But I say this all the time, it's not credit card debt unless you actually use the card. So if it's a positive line of credit, if it's not maxed out, if you've never paid it late, keep it on your credit reports. Keep it open. Do not close it, because when you close cards, when you close accounts, your credit scores are going to drop. It's going to drop. 15% of your credit score is composed of your the actual account, the account history. No, not the account history. You've got account payment history, 35%. 30% is a length. So the length of your account that have been open is 30% of your score. So make sure that any old accounts that you have open, make sure you keep them on your credit reports. Okay? Trade lines. Now, everybody loves trade lines, right? But a lot of people mess up here sometimes because they add bad trade lines to their credit reports. Now, what do I mean by bad trade lines? Let's first start off with, what is a trade line? A trade line is you piggybacking off of somebody else's good credit. Hopefully they have good credit. So what happens is, let's say that your friend has a credit card that's been open for 10 years. It has a $10,000 limit on it. It's not carrying a balance. It's never been late. It's not maxed out. It's a really good trade line that you can add to your credit report. But what happens is some people add trade lines to the credit report, and the trade line has late payments. The trade line has been maxed out. The trade line is just not a good line of credit to add to your file. It's just been open. The limit is low. There's just so many reasons not to add it to your file. I saw a file recently that had a trade line on it, and even though it had a really high limit on it, it was late. It was late. And do you know what late payments do to your credit reports? Whether it's your original line of credit or even if it's an authorized user trade line, it's still going to affect your credit scores. So if you're going to add trade lines, make sure that the trade lines are positive. Make sure that they've never missed a payment. Make sure that it's not maxed out. Make sure that it's actually a good line of credit that you want to add to your credit reports, because if you don't, you will have a really, really negative impact on your credit scores. And that's not what you're trying to do when you add trade lines to your credit reports, okay? Let's talk about the statute of limitations. Now, a lot of people, when they're trying to dispute stuff on their credit reports, what happens is they may dispute something old. And when they dispute something old, then they restart the statute of limitations. Now, if you all don't know what the statute of limitations is, the statute of limitations is basically a time limitation where negative accounts can actually report on your credit reports. Now, this varies by state, and usually it's about 7 to 9 years that negative accounts report on your credit reports. So if you have collection accounts, if you have charge-offs, if you have anything derogatory, it's going to stay on your credit for that limit, that amount of time that the statute of limitations permits. Now, I encourage you that whatever state you live in, make sure you check out the statute of limitations, because it does vary by state. So if you're going to dispute something, don't dispute anything too old, because if you restart the statute of limitation, it's going to stay in your credit report for another 7 to 9 to 10 years, depending on what type of account it is, right? So don't restart the statute of limitations. Don't do that. All right, another thing is people dispute out of order. I touched on this in a previous video about how to dispute collection accounts. Now, if you're going to dispute anything on your credit reports, you have to dispute with the credit bureau first. You cannot start off with the collection agencies. You have to start off with the credit bureau. Why do you have to do that? Because the credit bureau is a third party, right? So they're reporting that they're the people that's reporting the information on your credit. And then you have the creditors, the credit card companies, the auto loan companies. They're reporting the credit to the credit bureau. So you have to start with the credit bureau first. The credit bureau is going to launch an investigation for you. It's going to take them about 30 days to complete your investigation. During their investigation, what they do is they contact the creditor. They contact the auto loan place. They contact whoever you're disputing. Okay, so when you dispute, they send the code, they send the dispute out to the creditor, and then the creditor does their due diligence. Not really, but they do their dispute. They do their investigation, and then they get back to you about whatever it is they decided to do. But you have to dispute with the credit bureau first, and then after you dispute with the credit bureau, then you could dispute with the creditor directly. Okay, if you dispute with the creditor first, the creditor is not really obligated to respond to your request in 30 days because you have not started with the credit bureau. So start with Equifax, start with TransUnion, start with Experian first. And then after you submit that dispute, then you can move on to the actual original creditor. If you all have any questions about anything that I'm explaining, feel free to drop a comment below, and I'll be more than happy to answer it as we're going through this information, okay? All right, so now that you decided that you're going to dispute in order, you're going to dispute with the credit bureau first, let's talk about template letters. Okay, because you're going to dispute with the credit bureau, but the credit bureau is smart. The credit bureau has a electronic system that scans all of your disputes, kicks it out into a 2-digit code, and then they send you a response back that's a correspondence that lets you know whether or not your disputes are going to be disputed, whether it's going to be deleted, whether it's going to be repaired, whether it's going to be updated. Now, the thing is with templates is that when you're disputing, when you're Googling on Google and you're trying to find a dispute letter to dispute charge off of collection accounts, there are plenty of people out here that are doing that. So what they're doing is they take that same template letter and then they just put their information in and they send it. But the problem with that is that you're not the only person doing that. There's a lot of other people that are doing the exact same thing. You have to customize your letter. You have to customize it because the system that the credit bureaus have, it's automated. So if it picks up that this letter has been used multiple times, then they're going to keep kicking your dispute out, and they're not going to be doing too many investigations for you. And your investigations, your disputes won't be as successful as if they were if your if your letters were actually original. So make sure that your letters are original, okay? Handwrite them if you can. But make sure that it's original. It does not have to be long. It does not have to have all this law jargon. It does not have to have any of that. It just needs to be simple, to the point, and dispute some specific information on the account in order to get some success with your credit repair, okay? Hope I explained that clearly for you all. If you don't, feel free to drop a comment below. Let's talk about disputing online. Do not dispute accounts online, because when you do, you waive your rights as a consumer. You have rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You have rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, under these acts, what they say is that everything on your credit report should be updated. It should be valid. It cannot have any errors. It promotes all the accuracy in your credit file. So if anything were inaccurate, if anything were incorrect, the credit bureau has to remove it from your credit reports. But what happens is that when people dispute accounts online, well, if you've ever disputed anything online, you'll notice that there are only certain options that you can choose when you're disputing something online. They may give you like 7 different ways to dispute something. It'll say the account's not mine, or it'll say something else like the information's not correct. Whatever, it's not giving you all the reasons that you could possibly use to dispute the account on your credit reports. So don't dispute anything online. If you dispute it online, you're going to waive your rights. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, also, I didn't touch on that. It basically says that any shady practices that collection agencies use, you can sue them in court up to $1,000. And you can also sue for any type of infractions with the Fair Credit Reporting Act as well. So don't waive your rights, guys. Make sure that if you're going to dispute something, dispute it by mail. Just dispute it by mail. Take the safe route. Don't dispute it online, because you're going to kind of shoot yourself in the foot, is what they say, right? So make sure you just write a letter, send it out, and then you'll be good to go. Now, when you're disputing something, what I've also noticed is that people are not validating. They're not asking for validation on the account. So what's happening is people are actually making payments on accounts that have not been validated. Now, if you've never validated the account, if you've never asked for validation, then you don't really know if the account belongs to you. I've said this in a previous video about collection accounts, that collection agencies have the burden of proving to you that you actually owe them the money. Collection accounts are collection agencies are very similar to, let's say that I owe you some money, and then I send my friend to your door. Well, I owe you money, so you're going to send your friend to my door, and your friend is going to ask me for money on your behalf. I'm not giving your friend a dime until your friend can prove to me that they can actually collect the money from me, that they've been assigned the debt, that they can collect it legitimately. A lot of collection agencies, a lot of debt buyers and collectors, they buy all your debt for pennies on the dollar, and then they expect you to pay every single cent back without validating, without proving that you actually owe them the money. So don't pay them a dime until they can prove to you that you owe them the money. Don't call them and say, hey, I don't think I owe $300. I think I only owe $25. No, because then you're admitting to it. You're admitting to owing them this money. Don't admit to anything, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. So take that into consideration. Make sure that if you're going to dispute anything, ask for validation first. Okay? Next thing, certified mail. So if you're going to send a dispute letter, send a certified mail. Why? Because you get tracking information, and you'll know for sure when they received your dispute letter. Remember, when they receive your dispute letter, they have 30 days from the day they receive your dispute to actually get back to you. Now, it's not 30 days after you send the letter. It's 30 days after they receive it. Okay, that's when they start the investigation, and that's when they have to get back to you. They're obligated to do that in a 30-day time window. So if you send it by certified mail, then you will know if they got your letter or if they didn't receive your letter. And then you'll know what type of follow-up steps you need to take moving forward from there. Okay, let's talk about, guilty, right? This is admitting guilt. So this is kind of goes back into not validating. Don't admit guilt. Don't call a collection agency and say that you owe them money. Make them validate first. And then copies. I mentioned earlier that if things don't go the way they're supposed to go, you can sue the credit bureaus and collection agencies in small claims court up to $1,000, right? But the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you have proof, which are copies of all your dispute letters. They are copies of all your correspondences. You need copies because you need proof, because nothing's going, he say, she say, or my word against yours is not going to hold up in court. Paperwork, documents hold up in court. So make sure that you're making copies of everything that you send out. Okay? And then the last tip is ask for help. Ask for help. We do this for a reason. We do these free webinars for a reason. We created the Fly Credit University for a reason. We created it to educate you. We created it to empower you. We created it to help you navigate through all the mess and the Google and all this stuff that pertains to your credit repair, because you can have all of the information in the world. You can have all of the options in the world, but if you cannot make a decision that is right, then you cannot get on the right path. Okay, so if you need help, ask for it. Ask a professional. Schedule a consultation. We're more than happy to help you. If you have not registered for Fly Credit University, it's free. It has plenty of information about how to dispute accounts in your credit. It has plenty of information about how to rebuild your credit scores. It has plenty of information on how to budget your money, how to have responsible money management habits. We want to see you win. I'm going to take a couple of questions really quick. We want to see you win. So if you have not already done so, go over to flycredit.com, FLYYcredit.com, and click on the button that says our Fly Credit University is open. It's totally free. Fill in your name, your email address, and you'll get instant access to it. You'll get instant access to dispute letters. You get instant access to all of the webinar archives, everything that you'll need to get you on the right road to repairing your credit. Now I have a question from Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. If you don't receive validation from collectors, then what's the next step from there? Because I want to pay my collection off and be done with it. If you want to pay your collection off, Tiffany, what I would recommend that you do is that you offer them a settlement agreement. Offer them some money in exchange for a deletion on your credit reports. Now, be honest, they're not obligated to do that, but a lot of them will be motivated to do it if you just let them know that up front, okay? Write them a letter, ask for a settlement agreement. What I would recommend is that you offer them about 20% of the balance, sometimes even less. The lower the better. So start there. Okay, if you want to make the payment, you can make the payment. But if you're going to do that, make sure that you at least ask them first if they'll be willing to remove it from your credit reports in exchange for the payment. Thank you for asking, Tiffany. All right. Okay, I don't have any other questions below. If you have any questions, you all feel free to drop them below. Feel free to drop them below. Be more than happy to help. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Janet. I really, really appreciate you guys jumping in here with me. But if you all do not have any questions at all, I will leave this here. Okay? But I really, really enjoy doing these sessions with you all. I really want to help educate, empower you all, because I don't know about you, but I wasn't really taught much about credit. A lot of what I learned, I had to get certified. I had to do my due diligence. I had to educate myself. And I didn't start taking my credit seriously until I wanted to become a homeowner, right? Until I said, enough is enough. I don't want to rent anymore. I need equity. And that's when I decided to start taking my credit seriously. And then I paid somebody to help me with my credit. And long story short, he took my money, didn't answer another phone call of mine, didn't answer another email, just disappeared off the face of the earth. I hope he's okay. But nevertheless, I took lemons and just turned it into lemonade. And now we here 3 years later. I'm in a home now. My children are happy. And we've had thousands of clients nationwide that have had major success with our company. They've been able to raise their credit scores. They've been able to educate and empower themselves and their families and their communities. So we're really excited about doing this with you all. I have another question. I dispute my accounts online and they are better by mail. Yes, your disputes are better by mail. The reason being is because you waive your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act when you dispute online. So just skip the online thing if you can and then just dispute it by mail. Sorry. Yeah, if you dispute it by mail. Disputed it by mail. Do not dispute online because you're going to waive your rights. If you want to know more about the Fair Credit Reporting Act or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, go ahead and visit us at flycredit.com and download our free Flawless Credit Guide. And that's going to have plenty of information that's going to help you with understanding the Fair Credit Reporting Act, understanding the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and just having a lot of just good resources to help you with improving your credit. Ketwan, what if you are in a bankruptcy and need the score higher? So it depends on when you filed the bankruptcy, but you can start rebuilding your credit right after you filed bankruptcy. I've got plenty of clients that have bankruptcy on their credit reports that have over a 720 credit score. Bankruptcy does not really ruin your credit. I mean, it will for the first couple of months, but as long as you start rebuilding your credit right after you filed the bankruptcy, then you'll be in a much better place with your credit scores, okay? So bankruptcy is not the end of the world, y'all. If you have to file bankruptcy because you have a lot of debt, file it. It's okay. And then you'll be able to recover right after. You'll be able to get another credit card. You'll be able to get your foot back in the door to repair it, to rebuilding some solid credit. It's not the end of the world, so you can definitely do it. All right, if I have any other questions, feel free to pop them below. But I really love this with you all. I really enjoyed it. If you love this, drop a heart below. And until then, again, remember these 13 credit repair mistakes and make sure that you avoid them at all costs. Now, we're going to download and upload this video on our Fly Credit University. So you're going to see that in the next 24 hours. But other than that, I really enjoyed this with you all today, and I hope you all have a happy Thursday. Bye.